So good day everyone. Today we will be discussing safety in manufacturing, which is a very important topic for anyone working in an industrial or production environment. So safety in manufacturing refers to the practices, systems, and rules that protect workers, equipment, and the facility from accidents, injuries, and damage. It aims to create a safe working environment where employees can perform their tasks without risk. Good safety practices improve productivity, reduce downtime, and protect the company from legal and financial problems. So safety in manufacturing is very important because as we all know manjud na manufacturing involves machines, chemicals, tools, and processes that can be dangerous if not managed properly. So when we talk about safety, so we are not just referring to wearing protective gear. So it also involves a whole system of procedures such as following safety protocols, inspecting machines regularly, training workers, and making sure that the environment is clean and free from hazards. So the main goal is to create a safe working environment where people feel secure and can focus on doing their tasks well. So why is safety in manufacturing is very important? So first, of course, safety prevents accidents and injuries. So in manufacturing, workers often handle heavy equipment, sharp tools, electrical machines, and chemicals. So without proper safety practices, even a small mistake can lead to serious harm. So second, safety practices help avoid equipment damage. So machines that are not maintained or used properly can break down, causing delays and costly repairs. And third, good safety systems boost productivity. So when worker feels safe, they can focus better, work faster, and produce higher quality output. So at the same time, companies avoid legal problems, penalties, and financial losses related to accidents. So overall, safety in manufacturing is not just a set of rules, but it is a culture. So when safety becomes a daily habit, manufacturing workplaces became more efficient, more productive, and most importantly, safer for everyone. So here we have the key safety components of safety in manufacturing. So first we have occupational safety and health or OSH standards. Second, hazard identification and risk management. And lastly, we have Philippine DOLE standards. So this will be discussed by the other members. Thank you.
Jackson, Occupational Health and Safety or OHS standard are framework regulation and practice designed to to protect workers from hazard in the workplace. They ensure that employees identify, evaluate, and control risks that cause injuries, with fatalities, effect. OHS program promote safe work environment, reduce accident, increase productivity, and improve support organization compliance with legal equipment. Which is manilang mga patakaran o mga bagay na nagtatrabaho sa mga protection nila or kitaga kitabangan pa nila ilahang mga employees na sundon ilahang mga patakaran or OHS para kuan layo sa mga panganib. Objective of occupational health and safety: 1. Prevents workplace injuries, disease, and fatalities. Muna yung aksidente na ilang likayan sa or sa pagkamatay ng mga sa trabaho sa pamagitan ng maging pagtukoy at pagkontrol sa mga panganib. Yung B, promote worker health, well-being, and safe behavior. Mano yung mga pangalan na ang mga kalusukan at kaginhawaan ng mga manggagawa at hikayatin silang magkaroon ng ligtas na asal o gawa sa mga trabaho nila. Establish a clear procedures for hazard control and emergency. Pagkakaroon ng mga malinaw na proseso at introduction kung paano haharapin ang mga panganib at kung ano ang gagawin sa oras ng emergency tulad ng sunog or chemical spill o aksidente. Ensure compliance with national and international regulations. Sundin ang mga batas at pamantayan ng bansa at international upang masiguro ang legal at ligtas na operations ng kumpanya. Key component of oils is hazard identification and risk assessment. Ano yung mga dapat tukuyin ng mga organisasyon? Ang lahat ng posibleng panganib, physical, chemical, and organic, at surian kung anong mga kalaki ang risk na dulot nito. Yan. Workplace inspection. Pag-iikot o pagsusuri sa lugar ng trabaho upang makita ang mga unsafe kondisyon tulad ng isang makita na madulas sa sahig o parado. Job hazard analysis. Paghahati ng isang tao sa maliliit na step. Pagtukoy ng mga panganib sa bawat step at paglalagay ng control mixture tulad ng PPE training or engineering control. Accident trend analysis. Pagsusuri sa mga nakaraang aksidente at near misses para matukoy ang mga pattern at may sagawang maulit ang parehong problema. So, safety policies and procedure. Gumawa ng mga employer ng writing safety policies para malinaw kung ano ang mga responsibilidad, tamang paraan ng pagkatrabaho at gabay para sa mga high risk tasks. Working with machinery. Dapat may machine guard, emergency stop at lookout and tag out procedure kapag may maintenance. Kailangan din ang training sa tamang paggamit ng makina. Chemical. Dapat tama ang pag-level, may safety data sheet or SDS, tamang storage, ventilation, spill kits, at sapat na PPE. Working high. Dapat gumamit ng fall protection tulad ng hardness or guard trail. Regular na inspection ng hagdan o scaffolding at tamang training. Electrical safety. Dapat may tamang grounded, insulated tools, training at regular inspection upang maiwasan ang electric shock at ibang panganib.
So, hazard identification and risk management. So, hazard identification is the systematic process of finding, listing, and characterizing potential sources of harm or hazard in the workplace. So, hazard is anything with the potential to cause injury, health, damage, loss, or loss. Damage or loss. So, here are the methods of identifying the hazard. First is the workplace inspections. Regular walkthrough of the work area, equipment, and processes. So, workplace inspection, it is a structured and a routine walkthrough of the work environment to visually spot the obvious hazard like spills or missing guards and they identify unsafe condition like poor lighting or damaged tools. So they should be regular, daily, weekly, or monthly to inspect the work environment and often involve safety committee and trained personnel. So next is the job analysis or GSA, breaking down a job into its steps and identifying the hazard at each stage. So it is a detailed process that breaks up a specific job or task into sequential steps to identify the hazard associated with each individual's steps of the job and determine how the job can be done safely. And then next is incident or accident investigation. Analyzing past events including the near misses or close calls to find the root cause of underlying hazards. So it is the process of analyzing what went wrong after the event has occurred. So while seemingly reactive, its primary goal is to be proactive with it. Identifies the root causes, and underlying systematic hazard that allows the incident to happen. So near misses or close call are vital here, as they provide learning opportunities without resulting injury. Investigating near misses can prevent future serious accident. So next is the workers' feedback. Consulting employees who are often the most familiar with day-to-day hazard. So it is actively seeking input and observation from the employees who perform the work every day, because the workers are often the most knowledgeable about the day-to-day realities, shortcuts taken, and hazard that may have been missed by the management inspection. So creating anonymous reporting encourage honest feedbacks. Then last is the safety data sheets or SDS, reviewing information for all chemical use. So it is required documents provided by chemical manufacturers that details the hazard product. So reviewing the SDS is essential for identifying chemical hazard. Example, the flammability, toxicity, and corrosive nature. So understanding safe handling procedures and knowing what's the personal protective equipment and first aid are needed. So next is the type of hazards. type of hazards. First is the physical hazard. So physical hazard is noise, vibration, heat or cold, radiation, or poor chemical lightning. So physical hazard, these are environmental factors that can cause harm without necessarily touching them. Often involve energy transfer, like kanang noise. Excessive or prolonged sound level can cause hearing loss, and then vibration. Um, the shaking, the shaking and ox- oscillate, oscillating movements from the from gikan sa mga power tools and heavy machinery that can cause musculoskeletal disorder, and then heat or cold, extreme temperature can lead to heat stroke, hypothermia, or cold stress. And then next is the radiation. Energy emitted in the form of waves or particle, including both ionizing, example X-rays, or and non-oxidizing ionizing microwaves or UV lights. And then last is the poor lightning, an indicate of excessive light that can cause eye strain or lead tripping hazards. Next hazards is the chemical hazards. So chemical hazard, this hazard arise from exposure to dangerous chemicals in any form, um, solid, liquid, or gas. They can immediate damage or long-term health effects, like toxic fumes. Um, Toxic fumes vapor released from substances that can be inhaled and poison the body. For example, the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is poisonous, colorless, and odorless gas produced by the incomplete burning of carbon containing like fuel like gasolines, natural gas, and or wood. If inhaled, it reduces the blood ability to carry oxygen, which can cause illness or death. And then the flammable liquids. It is a material that can easily ignite and causes fire or explosion. So, for example, gasoline, solvents. And then next is the corrosive materials, substances that can destroy living tissue upon contact. For example, strong acids or bases. The living tissue is example is kanang skin, eyes, and lungs. Yeah. And then next is the biological hazard. This hazard involves living organism or their byproduct that can cause harm, typically through infection or allergic reaction. So bacteria, viruses, mold, insect bites. So bacteria or viruses is a pathogen that can cause infection disease like tuberculosis or response in medical ways. And then kanang mold, like fungi, that can cause respiratory issue or allergic reaction when spores are inhaled. And then kanang insect bites, exposure to insects or other vector transmit disease, for example mosquitoes and ticks. And then next is economic hazards. These hazards are related to the design or arrangement of the workplace and the task performed, leading to mus- musculoskeletal injuries over time, like poor workstation design, uh, the desk, chairs, or monitors that are not adjusted properly, forcing awkward postures, and then repetitive motion, frequently identical movements, excessive typings, that and then heavy liftings, um, or improper lifting or handling object that can lead to back injuries. Next is the safety hazards. So these are the common and easily recognizable hazard that can cause immediate acute trauma and such as cuts, falls, and electrocutions. So unguarded machinery, slippery floors, fire hazard, improper electrical wirings. So unguarded machinery is kanang mga moving parts of equipment that are exposed nga pwede makakatch sa imong clothing or limbs. And then kanang slippery floors nga wet or oily ilang surface nga makakause og slip, trips, or falls. And then kana pong fire hazard kanang like unsafe storage or of flammable materials or faulty wirings that can ignite. And then proper electrical wirings, exposed or damaged wires or overload circuits or ungrounded equipments. Mga siya sa safety hazards. And then lastly is the size size psychosocial hazards. So these are hazards related to psychological and social environment, the workplace that can cause mental or emotional stress or illness. So workplace stress, bullying, violence, excessive workloads. So kaning workplace stress example ani is kanang excessive demands, lack of control over work, and tight deadlines. And then bullying violence kanang bullying or violence kanang hostile behavior nga, then kanang harassment or threats from the coworker or clients. And then excessive workloads kanang unreasonable expectation or working hours nga makalid to burnout or fatigue. And then next is the risk management or risk assessment and control. So risk management is the overall structured process that evaluates the identified hazard and then develop the implement control measures to eliminate or reduce the potential for harm to an acceptable level. So a risk is the combination of like like likelihood or kanang probability that specific that a specific event will occur and severity or consequence of the harm or damage that result. Risk control or make the changes. This is the stage where measures are put in a place to eliminate or reduce the risk. Controls are implemented following the hierarchy of controls, which rank them from most effective to least effective. So first ani is the elimination. It's the most effective. So elimination is basically remove the hazard. So stop using toxic chemical entirely. Most effective. So this is the most effective way to control the hazard. It involves physically removing the hazard from the workplace entirely. If the hazard doesn't exist, the risk is zero. Example ani kanang nakutan dia stop using toxic chemical entirely. And then next is the substitution. Replace the hazard with the safer alternative. So these controls involves replacing the hazardous materials, process, or equipments with these hazardous alternative. So the process remains, but the danger is significantly reduced. So example base kanani best nga is mo gamit og non-toxic paint instead of solvent-based one. And then next is the engineering controls. So isolated people from hazard or redesign the work area. So this measured redesign ang work area or equipment to prevent exposure They are effective because they don't have to rely on a worker's behavior or attention. Example is kanang install a machine guards, a ventilation system or safety barriers. And then next is the administrative administrative change the way people work, the procedures, training, or the signage. So these controls involve changing the way people work through established procedure, training, work schedules, and warning system. They are less reliable than the top three controls because the they depend on employees consistently following the rules. And then lastly is the personal protective equipment or PPE. Protect the work protects protect the workers with specific gears. Require safety glasses, hard hats, gloves, and respirators. Less, less effective pero last resort. Um, and then last is review and monitoring. So risk management is an ongoing process. Once controls are implemented, they must be monitored and reviewed regularly to ensure they remain effective and do not introduce new hazards. So review triggers new equipment or process after an accident or when required by the law. For example, ano is kanang annually. And then continuous improvement. The process should feedback into itself to continually improve the safety management system. So the review and monitoring stage is the essential final step that transform risk management from the one-time effort into dynamic continuous safety cycle. And then this stage is fundamental about verification and adaptation. It ensures that implemented risk controls are effective, correctly used, and have not introduced new hazard rather than waiting for problems to arise. Reviews are actively triggered by events like incidents, new equipment, or regulatory requirements. So the process closes the loop using feedback to drive continuous improvements. This ensures the safety management system is always learning and evolving, guaranteeing that standard are not just met by the continuous optimized for maximum employee protection. That's all.
So the Philippine DOLI standards refers to the set of rules, regulation, and guidelines created by Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE to protect workers' rights and ensure safe working condition and promote fair labor practices in all industries. These standards cover many areas, but one of the most important component in occupation safety and health or OHS, a system designed to keep workplace safe, healthy, and hazard-free. So DOLI requirements for manufacturing. First, mandatory OSH in training for workers and safety officers. So all workers and safety officers must attend safety training so they know how to avoid accidents and handle emergencies. So next, creation of an OSH committee to oversee safety programs. So a group of people in the company will be formed to monitor safety, solve safety issues, and make sure our rules are followed. So next, provision of PPE at no cost to workers. So the company must give workers the necessary protective gear like helmets, gloves, and masks for free. So next is implementation of a safety and health program to improve by DOLE. Implementation of safety and health program provided by DOLE. So the workplace must follow a safety plan that is checked and approved by DOLE to ensure it meets and safety standards. So next is hazard communication program, including safety data sheet or SDS for chemicals. Workers must be informed about dangerous materials at work. Information sheet or SDS should be available to explain how to handle chemical safety. Next is penalties for non-compliance, ensuring accountability. It is the company or workers do not follow safety rules, they can face fines or other penalties to make sure everyone takes safety seriously. So the purpose of DOLE standard, protect the life, the health, and the safety of workers. So make sure the workers stay safe and healthy while doing their jobs. Second, prevent workplace injuries and diseases. Avoid the accident and sickness caused by work. So third, promote a culture and safety in all industries. So encourage everyone in every type of workplace to always think about the practice safety. So next, ensure employers provide safe working condition. So make sure companies give workers a safe place to work with the right equipment and safety measures.